What one mistake ended your career? Lifting wrong. 14 years of arboriculture coming to an end now. Not sure of the next job. One of the directors wasn't happy with some work I'd done, started poking me hard with his finger to punctuate his comments. I punctuated back considerably more forcefully. Called the HR lady the angel of death to a coworker on chat. HR was in a different state, so anytime they came to town we all knew it was most likely to lay off people. Angel of death came to get me shortly after, face with tears of joy. I was the assistant director at a summer camp. One of the very last nights was a sleepover night where all of the campers were there, but not all of the regular day staff. 2 of the counselors were caught drinking beer, and in an attempt to weasel his way out, one of them told the head of the camp that I gave him permission to do so. I most definitely had not. While I didn't get fired on the spot or have my year-end bonus withheld like the other 2, I was told I wouldn't be asked back again for next year, where there had already been talks of me being a full director in the future. Talked about comp to another employee. They told the manager about it. Got fired. The good part is it's illegal and the idiot created a paper trail around it. They settled out of court for way more than they would have saved by people not talking about comp. Browsing for another job while at the job. Sent an email to someone I thought was helping me, threw me under the bus. Not exactly a career, but I worked in a fast food spot that didn't have any air conditioning, and there's a workers' law where I live that states once it gets to a certain temp in the building they legally can't stay open. I brought a thermometer to work. I sent a scathing email about my boss directly to my boss. It wasn't meant for him. To this day I still have no idea what possessed me to put his name in the address bar. I noticed his name the exact moment I hit send. You have never felt that much panic. Had a workplace accident, fall from height. Didn't get fired but broke enough bones that I'll never work in that industry again. A guy I worked with was caught stealing 2 cigarettes from a colleague's bag. Was on a 6-figure salary. Not anymore. Led and recruited a sales team. One of the female sellers admitted that our CEO was sexually harassing her. Got her to confess to our sales manager. Found out that more of our female staff had similar experiences, so I rallied them as I needed evidence before proceeding. CEO got an earful from HR, proceeds to pressure all his female victims until one of them drops my name. I get fired. Built a castle out of Christmas chocolate biscuit boxes in the warehouse of a major retailer on a night shift and proceeded to fall asleep in it for a few hours. I sided with the peeps under me as their manager. Not me, but my best friend. He found a stash of porn on a network computer that belonged to the boss, then showed it to everyone. Ended up working in a supermarket after that, and said half the people there had criminal records. I did a PhD, now I can't get hired anywhere. Kind of the opposite. I worked at a second-hand electronics store. A dude came in with a PS2 to sell. I noticed the serial number was scratched off and thought that was a concern, but processed it anyway. It went through testing, came back greenlit, and I assumed that meant that it was okay. Assumed wrong. Management sacked my ass an hour later. Went home, re-evaluated my life choices, and that year went back to college. Got my A-levels, then my degree, and now I've been a software engineer for almost 10 years. Call center taking a manager call, put the chap on hold and comforted the team member he is a bit of an asshole, isn't he? Forgot to also put the call on mute and he requested a call recording. Whoops. Then while on suspension, I broke my leg, and went to my hearing after far too little sleep and too much tramadol. When they asked me what the impact of my actions was, I said it was crippling. Far too pleased with that pun to give a fuck about the outcome. Spent the next few months coasting through bills selling bits and bats, eventually got into marketing, a win in the long run. Didn't get any sleep the night before answering calls from a store in need and did not take the next day off when I needed it. Ended up speaking my mind in front of a corporate liaison. I took a half day off for a doctor's appointment. It ran longer than I thought. I texted my boss that I'd be a bit later than expected. I got home 1 hour past the allotted time for a half day and missed a meeting. I was fired the next day. An hour isn't a bit. I'd been at the company for 6 years. It took me 6 months to find a new job in a different field. But I'm much happier with the work I'm doing now. I told the truth about a workplace accident. They told me if I lied I would still have a job. Basically, they want to be lied to and not hear the truth or have it brought up. So you would rather employ someone who lies than someone who is honest. I was involved with the secretary. We thought we were both discreet, but everyone knew. Edit to clarify, we had a policy that said co-workers cannot engage in relationships. We broke the rules. I hated the place and took all the blame. You keep her from getting canned too. It wasn't a full-blown relationship yet, we were just starting out. Also, that's all people did was gossip about stuff that was none of their business. I asked why we are paying people massive salaries who aren't working at us anymore, while most of us haven't seen any increases or bonuses for 5 years. I saw a video once of a nurse explaining why she lost her job and nursing license. She took a photo of her entire emergency department trackboard with all the patients' names, birthdays, and complaints and accidentally posted it on her public Snapchat story. It was meant for her friend, but everyone saw it and someone notified the hospital. Edit forgot to add that this whole fiasco was because she wanted to show her friend how the doctor misspelled something. Tried to get better pay for my workers. Corporate did not like that. Harassment by an HR manager. I had to quit. Fuck her. Every one of these answers are because I was so much of a hero the man couldn't deal with it. Where are the people who got drunk at the work Christmas party and called the most senior guy they're a bald cunt? Sinking the company's boat. I started framing the longest receipt of the day, and that was apparently unproductive. An ex-colleague was WFH, the W did not stand for work unfortunately. Was asked to send something to his boss, took a screenshot which included all his open porn tabs on the Windows bar, and sent it to about 10 people. He was sacked the same day. This was a year ago and he is still out of work. Stood up for a colleague who was being unfairly targeted in a team meeting. Promised I'd hear out his project idea and see if there was any validity to his bold claims. Turns out everything was a lie and I sided with someone the organization was trying to get rid of. Didn't go well with my superiors, but I'd say it was a career-ending move. Had poor time management, both getting to work and at work. Opiate everything else addiction. But that was 10 years ago and I've been clean and sober for 7. I needed to hand in a form. I found an old form in my folder. It was already filled out properly but it had the wrong date on it. So I put whiteout on it and changed the date. When I handed it in, my boss saw the whiteout and asked about it. I told her. She said I couldn't do that and she would have to inform corporate. About 3 weeks later they fired me for it. Taking advantage of the company's open door policy. As it turns out, the policy is only useful until you go through the door. Raise any actual issues, and you'll get fired. I testified truthfully at a federal grand jury to my knowledge about a professor in my debt who was funneling federal grant money into their personal bank account. I was invited by the dean of the college to leave the Ph.D. program I was in and find another program. Unsurprisingly, I found it difficult to get into another program. Had a psychotic